course. Oh, okay.
Give you a couple just personal ideas. Yeah.
You're Dave?
I'm Dave.
Dave, how you doing? Dave, I'm Gus. Okay. Basically, what we have here, for Max, I guess, is reframing. The art of the reframe. In essence, it's a way of, if anybody ever presents you with an argument, instead of going face up with them, it's different ways to take their argument. So you got X equals Y here. So you have the cause and a belief. Belief's not the right word, but I keep using it. But basically the whole thing is a belief system. Did you read about those at all? Basically it's kind of like the way everybody perceives the world and has their own beliefs. And everybody's belief can be changed and fudged a little bit. However, I suggest never to go up against anybody's religion or politics. It's just not worth it. Trust me.
You've tried.
Okay. So you'll have different beliefs. Let's just skip to one of them, just to kind of go through it. All right, so we're going to kind of just go through fast. What's it? Anybody got a favorite one? How about you saying mean things? Yeah. So page 4, actually. All right, so you're saying mean things, means I'm a bad person. It means you're a bad person. Okay, so that's what they're saying. That's what the person hears. And then so you go up to the person's hierarchy of criteria. A hierarchy of criteria is basically what is important to a person. So you could almost start everyone out as, well, isn't it more important, or isn't it important to you? And obviously, the better you know this person, and the more time that goes by while you're discussing anything with this person, you're going to know more about them. So it'll be easier for you to win when you go with the hierarchy of criteria. Okay, so that one, of course, you say, well, don't you think it's more important to be honest than to be nice and lie, or tell people only what they want to hear? Okay. And then another thing. Let's come down, you got the cause, belief, and then the consequence. Basically in America, of course, and in most of the planet as far as I know, the timeline goes from left to right. So you have a timeline set up, a calendar, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then a new week. So it goes left to right. So this is what's going on right now as the argument. And if this argument were to continue, you have the consequence of what will happen, what can happen in the future. Correct? Cool? All right. So then, of course, saying mean things means you are a bad person. It's like, well, I'm only saying things to make them better. If I didn't say mean things, I'd do them. If there weren't bad people then, who would tell us our faults? It's kind of a little sense of humor. And then you come down and you hit another outcome. And then basically it's just another outcome. I can stand here and read these, or you can read them yourself, or you can just kind of like fly through them. And then eventually I'd like to work our way into some of our own ideas and own things that we have in our everyday life, and then try and figure out some reframes for those. Is that cool? Mm-hmm. That works? All right.
So let me just ask a question.
Please do.
You understand the dynamic? Do we understand the dynamic of? And this is something that I got confused myself, not having known this. And Gus has studied this very well. When you see that saying mean things means you're a bad person, that's like me saying to Gus, saying mean things mean you're a bad person. And these things in these boxes are responses to that?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, that's very important. Thank you.
Because I was I hadn't been familiarized with this, and I haven't worked with this at all before, and last time I was like, is this someone saying something and this is their response, and then there's other responses? Or am I saying everything that's in these center boxes, the cause and the belief?
Right.
The cause is the evidence that I have determined, and then the belief is my belief on top of that. So these two boxes equivocate a statement that someone else would make to Gus, and these other responses in this are the response that he would give back to
Okay, that helps.
to you.
'Cause for me, I'm having a hard time with this. I mean, I know what you're saying, and
Jen,
I'm not doubting it. It's just, for me, I'm having a really hard time trying to get it to where I can apply it in a situation that I'm dealing with.
We're gonna make sure, I'm not letting you leave, babe, until you can apply this, all right? See, and I have, that's why I'm here, and that's why Brad lets me down here to kind of teach, because I will sit by myself and study some of this stuff so intently, and I will go in my iPod and I won't come out until the battery's dead. Between listening to seminars, making notes, even going into a meditation so I can get it into my head and internalize it. So I don't even think of this anymore. I'm at the grocery store, talking to the Walmart person. I'm in a tavern, talking to people. It's like, and I have this so big and so drawn out because I want
It's
you
like
guys.
breathing for you, probably. You do without thinking.
Damn close. I want you guys to be able to see this in your head. So you're not scrambling, oh, that was a good one, how can I get him back?
Right.
It's like, no, it's like, bam, another outcome. Ooh, counterexample. Ooh, hierarchical criteria. Ooh, that's your little corner of the world, isn't it? Bam, come back. And then this is a fun one because it's like the intent. It's like, so you can do a little mind reading on that one. Well, I know you intended to be very nice by saying that, but.
Right. For me, I'm dealing with such a difficult legal situation with my ex, and
How long have you been going through this? Don't tell me
well,
what's
the
about.
divorce took 2 years. The divorce was final almost a year ago. The problem is
really?
that we're going through
January 17th?
January 8th.
Mine was January 17th, 2007. 2 years, yeah.
And 2000. Yeah, mine took 2 years, but because of my son and his special needs, we're now having to go through another legal battle on custody. And I know what's best for my son, but my ex is being very difficult. He wants to keep my son because for him, he looks at it as financial benefit to him. And I don't want to have to go back through the legal route of taking 2 years and spending every last dime in attorneys
Right.
to do what's best for Evan. Because to me, spending every last dime fighting isn't beneficial emotionally or financially.
It's not beneficial.
It's
in
just,
any way.
right, and I want to try to avoid that and have a good outcome without having to make it take so long, being so stressful and difficult. All the other negative things that go
Right.
along with that being a battle.
Okay, very good. Well, think of some specifics and we'll work them through with you without, giving away it's your personal life.
Right.
So let's get see if we can come through that digitally and not
Right.
bother your personal
Yeah,
bubble.
you could potentially utilize some statement that he made to you as to why he believes he should have a son.
Right,
And then you
Right.
could run a host of counters.
Right. because that's exactly, I've got to be able to tackle this in a way that hopefully we can not deal with the legal issue, we can I can somehow maybe get around this to get it to work for what's best.
Yeah,
for the
eventually,
kids.
a little bit at a time, chip away at it, and then we'll go down. So there's a whole bunch of them here, and a good one for that when somebody, in my opinion, is being manipulative is chunking it. Just kind of like really exaggerated. Oh, how much money do you need? And then just kind of ride with it. And it's obviously that let's get back to that. I don't want to do that too much. Okay, and then, so like as I was saying, I want you guys to see this. I spent some time on it, did my best. I had a ruler and everything. Pots and pans.
It's perfectly,
Yeah.
everything's so square, perfect.
That's pretty good.
So, I mean, so I'll be in there, especially when I get in this state, like right now, I'm really not, hopefully I'll flip into it. And then I'll see this, and it's just like, I'll be talking to you guys, but I'll see this big plexiglass thing, you know, right in front of me. And then the guy I, you know, modeled this from and got it from, Dilts, and then like O'Brien and a few other guys, and they said the same thing. I felt it, I saw it, and then I heard it from them. I'm like, cool, I'm not nuts. And what I'm trying to say is, it's like, and they actually use the movie I saw it in. Oh. It's with Tom Cruise when they predict the future.
Minority Report.
Minority Report. Okay, so he's up there with this big plexiglass screen. He's got the gloves on, moving the stuff all around. And that's exactly how I see this when I'm in state and I'm going with somebody. And I don't argue with them. I don't hit them in the head. I go out and I try and do this just because I'm practicing. I'm fun. And to me, it's just a dance. I'm dancing with these. And then sooner or later, it's like I got the breadcrumbs. And they're just doing exactly what I want them to do. And it's like, you have no idea how happy you just made me. And then you just fell for everything I put out for you. And it's all fun and games. Until it comes to divorce.
Right.
And then it works. And it's funny with the divorce. That's how I got into this whole thing too. The whole NLP and psychology. As soon as my divorce kicked up, and this shouldn't be on tape, but so I'll edit it later. Okay, so I got into this, and it's like, my son was assigned an attorney. So my
Right,
8-year-old boy.
that's what we may have to have as an attorney for the
That's
kids.
the guardian ad litem.
Yep.
And then so I studied up on this, and I went fast, and it's like, okay, I gotta learn how to get rapport with this guy. And I had my son's attorney on my side in under 15 minutes in a restaurant. And the way I anchored with a salt shaker and a photograph. It's so cool.
Yeah,
That's for different classes.
yeah, his attorney during the divorce was more on my side than his side because my ex is so far out there. But he fired that attorney and now has another attorney who's as crazy as he is.
Oh well.
Our belief systems.
Yes, you gotta whittle away their belief systems. Okay, let's just cruise through this, and we'll just keep going as we are. That's great. Everybody, life stories. That's what's going to help. All right, and then so basically, you see these things. So you're saying bad things makes you believe I'm a bad person. You are a bad person. So then, of course, you have the hierarchy of criteria. What's important to you? If you keep following that belief, these are what will happen. And then you have, just a totally another outcome. I kind of consider it like a wild card. It's like, the issue here is not whether I'm saying mean things or I'm a bad person, but rather what responses a communication elicits. Does the end justify the meanness? And if anything here, and I'm cruising through it, if anything doesn't make sense, just say something, because we're all here to learn. All right? And then metaphors is my personal favorite, which I think is the most powerful also. And I find myself using metaphors constantly all the time. And this would be with just using the reframing on your personal level, where I find I use it mostly is with my son. He's 10 years old now, and it's down to the brushing of the teeth, or getting dressed, or whatever it is like that. And these metaphors, after reading so many books on it, and seminars on the iPod, they just dance out of my mouth, and I stand back and I'm like, oh yeah. Jeez, because this way, with the metaphor, it shouldn't be on, well, it's such a small group. So I'm talking to this gal, and she says she's got a boyfriend. And it's like, wow, okay. And so I instantly go, and I compare me and her boyfriend to shoes, but she doesn't know it. It's like, oh, that's great. I know. Do you ever, it's like having the, pair of shoes, and they're all trusty, worn-in shoes, and they're just great. And then you just almost have them. They're your shoes. They're your favorite shoes in the closet. They're the shoes you want. They're the shoes you love, right? But then you go to the shoe store, and you put on a brand new pair of shoes, and it's like, whoa, check out the support. I had no idea a new pair of shoes would be so nice. So, and I went on for like 10 minutes, and just, bam. It's not a mean thing. I gave her something new. Nice new pair of shoes, you know? All right, so that's my favorite. Okay, and then so you can chunk up, you know, it's exaggerating. So you mean that if anyone slips and happens to be irritable, and if anybody slips and falls and they have to be irritable in their communications, then they're doomed to be evil for the rest of their lives. Obviously he's making a joke, you know, somebody slips and twists their ankle and they say, you know, arr. Well, then, you know, the person's not obviously mean, they just are having a bad time at the moment. And then chunk down, obviously, you know, bad, mean, so you get more specific with this one. Okay, so it's like bad, mean, well how specifically do you mean I'm bad, you know? Which things specifically? Specifically is the key word on that one. Just a nice Tony Robbins thing, well what's specifically? You know, God pulls you over. Do you know I pulled you over? Nah, that's a bad one. So specifically is just a really nice, easy way, if you just keep that one word in your head, specifically, you can keep chunking down on it until the person's just going to come down to atoms and molecules and say, oh, never mind, and then they walk away. So you just fry them up. Okay. Counter example, this is drawn like a countertop. I came up with that. I'm going to sell that to Dilts. Countertop, man, get it? Countertop. Okay. And then, isn't it possible to say mean things and not a bad person? You know? Be a bad person and not say mean things? So just kind of flip it. And then, so that brings us to the redefines. I'm not a bad person. I'm just honest and perhaps not as sensitive as you are. So redefining the bad person. And then the other redefine. I'm not saying mean things. I'm telling you the truth and giving you the facts. So with the redefines and with the applies to self, which we'll get up to, if you can use the same words they use, the same vocabulary, toss them back, you know, basically what's known as their trance words, you'll notice that people like their own vocabularies. People have, you know, little, that's pretty tricky. You know, they'll have their own little buzzwords, and the more people try out, the less they can think because their brain constricts or something, and then they just revert to an older vocabulary of in a younger year or something, you know? So then the little transfers will pop out and then just throw them right back. So you can not only bust their argument, but you'll also like be freaking them out. And one, you'll kind of piss them off if they figure it out, but if they don't, then you're going to get behind your critical factor by using their own buzzwords. So it's a two-play. So it works really cool. Do you agree?
Yeah. People are going to revert back to their buzzword, or their, like you said, their brain shrinks.
Yeah.
They revert back to that whenever you get in a stressful situation, and blood starts moving out to the arms and the legs and out of the visceral. It also goes from the frontal cortex, which is the logic, the conscious, the emotional thinking part of the brain, and it goes back to your bigger part of the brain where you fall back on operated actions, automatic actions.
Well, so what I said is true?
Yes.
I've noticed it, but I've never read that.
Yeah.
Just because it happens to me too. You get frustrated.
Yeah,
but
and you fall back on what's unconscious and automatic, something that you don't have to think and comprehend about when you get in a stressful situation or somebody pisses you off.
There you go.
So yeah.
Make sense to everybody? Yes,
How
kind of.
specific is it?
And if there's, how specifically does it make sense? You know?
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me of that, like that gym membership we were doing.
Mhm.
You said something Confucius say.
Oh.
I wanted to write that one down. That was just killer. Do you remember that?
Yeah, something about camels in the desert, and I'll get it.
That
Yeah,
was
okay.
so cool. I just could not remember that one.
Camels and fleas.
No, it was a different, it was, yeah.
And if something comes up, Jen, while we're talking about this, and something like rings a bell, just throw it up.
No, it won't ring a bell with me. It's something I'll see what you're saying.
There you go.
She gets the picture.
Yeah. Alright. Alright, and then we can, okay, does everybody kind of know what's going on? I mean, this is kind of review, however, it's all new for Max here. We're going quick. Like I said, I've spent hours and hours and hours and hours. And here, 90 minutes, I'm going to give you what could, actually be, geez, 50 hours of crap I've stuffed in my head, so there's stuff I haven't. Okay, and then we're going to jump right over to intent. And again, this is, you say mean things, means you're a bad person. And then it's linear. And so this is also a fun one, because then you can get into the mind read. And it's your opinion. It's what you kind of believe they meant to say. And then you can say your intent, which is almost a mean one, because this is a... Ever having people say, oh, you mean this, you mean that? I mean, it's rude. So at your own risk, but it's a fun one too, All right, so my intention was not to be mean, but to teach you something I felt you should be aware of. So just because the guy says mean things, it's actually not mean, maybe it's instructive. What would be an example, I guess?
What would be an example?
Of saying mean things means you're a bad person, you actually should have.
Well, I wasn't really being mean, I was just showing you how other people could be in a situation like this, and obviously you know that I'm more caring than to be mean and say bad things to you.
She's got it down.
Something like that. Something like that.
Yes, very good. All right. And then we can hit the other example, since this is new where we started at intent. Or what would you guys like to do? It's your class, I'm just here. Want to go over all the examples, or
Let's go through all the examples, and then let's throw up the situation, circumstance, and walk through it as a group.
Okay, do
Come up with-
all the
and have
examples
us
of
come up
like
with
saying
examples.
mean things, cancer, do fire them all, or just stick with the saying mean things?
You're being late, you don't care about me. Good one.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to start over and just jam through them quick and then kind of like explain them. On the front or on the front? On the second page, you can feel, I gave it to them, so feel free to rip them apart if you want. Second page is the key. That is what explains how to do it and what they are. So again, feel free to rip them apart or look at one, hold one pamphlet, look at the other. But these are, instead of guessing at a reframe, specifically know which reframe you're using, because it's important, to have them all down and to be able to knock out anyone at any time at any given moment, instead of just coming up with something that sounds good. Have a purpose behind it. Know you're going into the metaphor. Know you're doing another outcome. It's their strategy. It's their model of the world. It's the master frame, not master frame. Metaphor. Okay. Make sense? Yes. 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 You're being late means you don't care about me. Again, that's what's happening. Cause and belief, and then you go up to the hierarchy of criteria. Isn't it more important to fulfill my responsibilities to the people who are depending on me the most? And again, you flip to the second page. It's, their higher values. What's higher? What's more important to a person? What's, in essence, their hierarchy of criteria. And then consequence, again, future pacing. What will happen if the same behavior is applied over and over and over again? Doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome, obviously insanity. So feed it to them. I hadn't been late. I might have lost my job. However, I care too much about you to risk it. Right? And then cruise down another outcome. So you're being late means you don't care about me. Whether I'm late or uncaring isn't the issue, but rather whether we can meet each other's needs in this relationship without laying any unnecessary trips on one another.
Kill. That was such a...
And in metaphors.
I don't know, with that one, I think if I hear that one, I'd be like, oh, knock it off.
Yeah, that pissed me off.
I'd be like, oh, lay it on thicker, kind of thing. I don't know.
That's true. That's true, but sometimes, it depends. Are you talking to your boss or you're talking to your spouse?
Yeah,
But I mean, that's...
Yeah, obviously you're gonna
Some of
choose
them,
different
but that
things.
could be taken,
Yeah, based on what you're going with and who you're dealing with too. If you
Yeah.
know certain people, you could get away with that. Other people, you can't.
And again, just like every minute of every day of life, you're constantly calibrating. where are you, where's your energy level, how's our humor today? You know, did somebody really wake up on the wrong side of the bed and, you know, bump their toes? So, all right, and then jump into a metaphor. If a surgeon is late for dinner because he's saving someone's life, does that mean he doesn't care about eating? Again, sense of humor, you know. So there's some guy in there doing brain surgery and he's late for dinner, so it means he doesn't like hot dogs. Obviously, it's insane, but it's funny to guess around.
Yeah.
And chunking up. Are you saying that the most fundamental aspect of our relationship is simply a matter of time? And chunking down. Late. How specifically? There's that magic word again. How specifically don't I care? How specifically does late mean I don't care? How specifically does being late mean not caring?
That one reveals a lot of their criteria too. If you chunk down, I would think.
If you said, like, what do you mean? What do you mean I don't care?
How specifically?
Oh, to get into the other person, have them answer it.
Yeah,
Because then their response is gonna define their belief system.
and you can pull up some buzzwords too from them.
Yeah, and then you can later use the ammunition you get from this one for this
Right.
one.
Exactly.
Counter example, isn't it possible to be late and still care, or uncaring and punctual? And then you can redefine them again. So I'm not late, I was delayed. All right, everybody's delayed every now and then. Traffic, I was delayed because of traffic. And then redefine on the other side. It's not that I don't care, it's just that I show my care differently. Again, is using the buzzwords. You know, care and late is turned into delayed. And my intent wasn't to be late or uncaring, but rather to finish my work so I could spend the highest quality time with you. Again, you might get slapped. But you know, that's kind of the fun.
And that's when they say that to you, you say, well, how specifically? That's when you gotta throw it back at them again.
Yeah, it's a tennis match. Just keep volleying back and forth. It's a dance. I mean, if you get it in your head that it's a dance, it's a give and take. And then you just lead. Sometimes you follow, but the longer you follow, the more they'll think they're leading. And then you can give them a dip and they didn't even see it coming. Knock them out. So it's just a dance. And again, right there, it's a metaphor for the whole thing. It's a dance. Enjoy it. Model of the world. And then we can back up. Model of the world. Okay, switch referential index. It's like the old see, hear, feel type thing. And then, so this is true in everybody's map of the world. All right, that's the world model. Most people know I judge caring on the basis of sensitivity to another's feelings, not of their awareness of time. That's kind of well, it's just their model of the world, or your model of the world. You just take it and put it into your own things that happen in your life. Anybody got an example of that? How things happen, and I mean, you can't be wrong with it because it's your model of the world, or their model of the world. It's how they see things. So you can just come up with anything. Bam, you got it right. Okay, so let's flip over. Dun, dun. Let's go back to, so saying mean things means you are a bad person. I may be mean or bad in your model of the world, but in my family, that's how we show we care. They take their model of the world right into it, right or wrong. You know, it's an opinion which they can't be argued with.
He's used that on me.
What's that?
So he's used that on me.
Oh, everybody uses that.
My family, it means
That's not
that.
how I grew up.
Yeah.
That's not how I grew up.
When we grew up, we blah, blah, blah.
That's not what Grandma says.
Yeah, right. I'm like, let me call Richard and Patricia. We'll check that out.
Excellent. And then the reality strategy. Okay, how do they represent that belief? How do they believe that that is or isn't true? Which is a good one, because you can just say, Well, how do you represent that belief to yourself? And that's pretty much going to fry their circuits right there. Because they're going to have to go back and start thinking, okay, why do I believe that? Why is that belief true to me? And they can't just come back and keep going on with the argument or the discussion or the debate, because you're going to have to flip back and come up with an earlier time when they can have proof for you. So that'll give you time to regroup and go back in again.
It makes them go in their own head and they start explaining things, and you can plan your next plan of attack, and actually what they're doing is they're giving you even more information yet.
Yeah, and they won't have a clue because they're trenching themselves up. They're like, oh, shoot, how can I prove this? How can I prove this? Well, 2 years ago. You know, and then you just listen. You know, get them transwords.
You know, for two people that know NLP, it makes conversations like this really interesting. It takes arguing and whatever to a whole nother level. Because it's like, how do you do that? Sometimes they'll be like, I do that through meta programs, it doesn't matter. How specifically, blah, blah, blah. And then we're
Which ones?
dancing back and forth.
Prove it.
It takes fighting to a whole new level.
They're effective for me, as you can see, and then you start vaguely using language and
Well, I don't understand.
You've taken fighting to a level of
turned me
perfection.
into a polar responder too now. It's fun. It gets fun.
Yeah, when you get it down, it's a blast. Just
Yeah.
Go get a couple beers and make some friends and you'll have a good time.
Uh-huh.
And then we got the apply to self. Your being late means you don't care. So you can apply self to here and self to here, and this is kind of like throwing it back on, like, you know, heal or heal thyself is one I heard the other day. And then you can always throw in, you know, what was that? Like whoever is without sin may cast the first stone.
Who's without sin?
Yeah, don't live
First.
don't live in glass houses, or people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
Right, so it goes right back on itself. Depending on your sense of humor, those can be pretty good too. You know, how your quick wit and jumping in. So you being late means you don't care about me. Now you tell me, I wish you cared enough about me to tell me this earlier.
Ouch.
You know, right back on, bam. That's kind of funny. I'm actually going to start throwing in some of the other ones I got. You guys don't have this. Ha ha. Okay, this goes back to that health spa and gym. I don't have enough money to join the health spa, and it just throw it back on itself. Okay, so you don't have enough money to join the health spa. Well, do you not have enough income to make smarter choices with your money? This one's worth $1 million. I'm going to sell this to somebody who sells memberships. 20 grand. Because it'll be worth $50,000 after a year and they'll not do it. That's my opinion. And then, so saying mean things means you're a bad person. And then on the other side, so you're a bad person. Bad people always tend to find only the bad in others. Boom. Okay? Where's that other one? Your being late means you don't care about me. A really caring person would be able to overlook a little dirtiness every now and then. It's kind of like it's just flipping it back on itself and kind of like going, the other, person A is saying one thing, and then you're just flipping it right back on, saying, well, you're saying this, how come you're not acting like this? Teach what you preach. Just right back on itself.
So applying to self means you're applying it to the person that said it to you.
Correct, you're just flipping it right back on. Yes. So if somebody's out there, how perfect can you be? The person that lives in a glass house shouldn't throw stones. And it's an old cliche metaphor type thing, but I can't even say it better than that. That's just awesome. Doc.
I know, I'm so good.
That falls under metaphors, though.
That's true. It would fall under metaphors, however, it's going right back at itself.
It does both.
When you have this down, trust me, in the future, when you got this dialed, you're not just going to give one of these and say, ha, done.
So there, take that.
You're going to be dancing with these, bam. You're going to go, you're just going to be flying right through them, one. And then when you're really good, it's coming from me, I'm not there yet, but you'll have all these guys wrapped up in a metaphor. So you'll have a metaphor and a
You'll just leave
metaphor.
them crying.
Big nested loop. Done. Game over. One of these days we're getting there, huh? Okay, really carried person, okay. And then saying mean things means you're a bad person. Oh, we already did that one. Okay, and then back to, was it my health spa one? Okay, I can't, the relationship with my income is too expensive to join your health club, so then you flip it back on itself. Well, I see that holding on to this belief of it being too expensive right now could become very, very expensive later. As far as, taking care of your health now, so you let it dwindle, and then all of a sudden you gotta go pay, doc to give you a new heart. It's gonna cost a lot more, Agreed? Oh yeah. I don't care what your insurance is, it's gonna smack it. Alright. And then the master frame, that is kind of like where everything comes from. Oh, and I thought of a couple of good ones. To change the size of the frame, the scope of the frame, basically you're kind of like shifting the camera. I heard another one from Doug O'Brien, where she was talking about an old movie, and I don't know the name of the movie, but it's something like with World War II. And so, and the camera, shows up, and there's this big, beautiful mountain scene, with all the mountains and snow-capped mountains and a nice little German village. Everybody's got their lederhosen on and stuff like this. and it focuses in, comes in, the big frame. You can see everything that's going on in, the whole panoramic shot. Kind of swoops down, focuses on this one kid who stands up, starts singing, whoa, about the fatherland and, ooh, everything Deutschland and stuff, and then it slowly fades back. Everybody's kind of scared, and they're not moving. And it's this little blonde-haired, blue-eyed, kid. He's got a swastika on his arm. He's in Hitler's little SS. So it kind of like takes this whole beautiful, serene thing, puts it on this little kid that's singing, and everybody's enjoying it. But then the camera pulls back, and they're not really enjoying it. They're petrified. You get it? So that's the master frame. That's really cool. This is exactly like when I started off last week with me at McDonald's. You guys recall that one? I was saying I was at McDonald's and there's this guy there. He's kind of like slumped over. His eyes are all red. And his kids are running around, ripping up the McDonald's. Oh, I'll finish here for a minute. So this guy's sitting there. His eyes are all red. He's kind of out of it, and his kids are just ripping up McDonald's, right? And I go over to him like, dude, you on something, man? Your kids are nuts. It's whacked, And he's like, and he looks up at me. He's like, no, man. Their mother got killed this morning, and I haven't told them yet. And their grandparents are on their way down from Appleton to take care of them, like go to the hospital and take care of some things. Master frame. All right. So that is, I don't know if it's difficult or not. I don't think of this one right off. However, you can see how powerful that is, right? Bam! All right, and that's still with keeping rapport. That is key, because the metaframe, you got an atom bomb from hell, but that's gonna kill your rapport. This is like a last, before you walk out of the room and stomp your feet, and you just want, whoa, one more digger. That's what that was for. Okay, so let's go back.
You probably have that one down.
Jen.
Metaframe.
Why do you say that?
Just when it comes to divorce, you got your metaframe, things there. You know what your digs are. You know what your last resort is. You're gonna pull that sword out and just lop their head out because you've been doing it for how many years in your marriage
you
already.
know where their sore spots are. You know where their buttons are to push them.
Yeah.
The kink in the armor
Yes, exactly.
That's your metaframe.
with the metaphor.
That is, okay, I don't want to jump to that right away, but just in case I forget, remember, tonality is everything. Oh, those are the worst shoes I've ever seen, sweetheart. You're insulting about your tonality and the right words. So if you're going to try and keep rapport after you drop a nuke, your tonality is going to
Say anything with a smile, it leaves people going, hey, kind of. You just smile and
You're
as sweet
such
as
a
you can.
bitch.
Exactly. You're such a bitch today. I love it.
You.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah, you can get away with anything.
All right, and then up to the master frame, we'll run through a couple of those. So you're being late, again, means you don't care about me. Better late than never. With the warm, caring reception I get when I do get here, I ought to be out risking my life to get here every spare minute.
I like that.
I don't know if that one quite fits on the master frame. I mean, that could be up in the meta frame too, depending on how you say it. Saying mean things means you are a bad person. It may seem mean now, but if you look at the big picture, you're actually, just saying that. You're actually speaking in verbiage of the frame and changing the frame. Well, if you look at the big picture, you can see that it was necessary. It may have been a mean thing to say, however, aren't you glad I said it? After some time passed, makes sense now. Change the whole frame. Boom. That's going to be your key when it comes to your son.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one, I know that one will be,
Okay, we'll work on that.
definitely.
Cancer causes death. We didn't even do that one. And then, well, anyway, just for the master frame on that, is that a belief you'd like to have your child to have? Of course not. You don't want any kid to think that. And if everyone believed that, there would never be a cure. Again, it is just changing the whole scope of the thought, the whole frame that you're dancing in. And into the health spot. Okay, in the relationship to my income, it's too expensive. Well, forget about the money. How much is your weight truly costing you? Expensive now, but when you get to your goal, priceless. When you can quote a commercial, something somebody's heard 10,000 times already, instant reporting might not, well, priceless, it's so cliche, they'll probably get it, but you're getting right behind the critical factor, and it's cool.
Shoes, $100, new clothes, $200, looking great in your jeans, priceless. Kind of.
There you go.
And they go, okay. Yeah, I use that.
All right, and then up to the meta frame. Again, this is kind of like on top for a reason, and it's got the arrows. Boom. This is kind of like, in Iraq. Or anybody see Transformers yet?
Oh, I love that movie.
Okay. Yes? Go see it.
Oh my
Okay.
God,
It was
Transformers.
So fun. It was good.
That was cool. So
Transformers and
So
those ninja guys.
Oh, don't
Hate
confuse
those.
confuse that old Transformers thing with this new Spielberg movie. Oh,
It was really good.
That rocked.
Yeah.
So you could take that, okay, and there's this group of guys that escaped from an army base that just got kablimoed from a bad Transformer. Not the good Transformer, the bad Transformer.
And the
Decepticons.
Decepticons.
Oh,
She knows the name.
makes me
Cool.
sick. Like, oh.
And so these guys are out running, they escaped, and then they're trying to get to a phone and trying to, regroup with their guys. And then so they're like, and all of a sudden this another Transformer comes out of the sand. Whoa, what's going on? They're shooting. So they get on the phone and they call the Pentagon or whatever it was.
They call it.
But then they sent, what are them,
Sir, have
drones?
you looked into the platinum?
So here's the drone, right? And it's just flying over everything, reporting all the information back, so they can call in right to the gunship and blow the hell out of it. BAM! It's got the arrows for a reason. It's the overall mother loads. I mean, remote control Predator. Is that what it's called? And then so it's got the camera on there, and it takes care of everything, reports back the information,
Yeah.
and then kills it.
Bring
Well,
the
it
rain.
escapes, but it blew it up pretty good.
Bring the rain. Yeah. No, first they call him and he gets that Indian operator.
Have you heard about our global gold
Have you
special?
looked into our platinum package, sir?
It's great.
Freaking war.
It's great. It's worth it.
It is. It's really fun.
They have to dig out one of the guy's wallets to get a credit card so they can make a collect call on a cell phone while they're getting shot at by some aliens.
Left cheek, left cheek.
I was just gonna say that. Your being late means you don't care about me. You go up here again, so your tonality can save that or it can kill it, You're just feeling that way because you build unrealistic expectations about other people. Then blame it on them when you get disappointed. It's just a smack. Saying mean things means you are a bad person. You're just saying that because you're oversensitive. You don't understand. You're stuck in your own way. I'm the only one that cares enough about them to say these things. And then again, don't be afraid. Be looking at page number 2. Okay, because I'm going through these, and I can feel the energy. I'm losing some of you. Page number 2 is where they come from, why they're called what they are, and how we get there. Okay, I mean, I'm saying things, and it's like, well, okay, that's a metaphor, and that's applied to self. But go back to page 2. That's your key. Okay. Cancer causes death again. If you have a simplistic belief, you don't have a model that allows you to explore and track and test all of the complex variables that contribute to the process of life and death. There's some good ones in the cancer one. That's a touchy subject with some people. And then up in that cancer one, look at that. That's what I wanted to point out. The reality strategy. Okay, this goes right up. There's 2 things I want you to make notes on. I can see I don't have them here. Okay, the one is in the world model. What is it that makes that your belief? How did I say that before? What is it that's your belief? Why is that your belief? How do you believe that in your world? That's the one that's going to make them crawl back and start thinking, and then they're going to go, oh, wow, 2 years ago. And that's going to trance them out. That's very powerful, so remember that. You know,
What makes you say that?
Use the word belief. Try 'em.
How do you believe that is true?
Yeah, why do you believe? Well, that's different. Or am I doing that wrong?
How did you come to that conclusion?
Never mind, just take that out. That's reality strategy. I apologize, folks. And yeah, that's okay. It's the belief. But I'm trying to think of how I phrased that before. But look at the cancer one. How would you know if that wasn't true? Okay, that's really like the perfect catch-all. How would you know if that wasn't true? Because you want them to reverse. Because if they're saying that is true, you want them to go backwards. So it's going to kind of trance them out. So instead of, they're obviously arguing with you, and that's their model of the world. That's the way they see it. That's what they're going at you with. Instead of saying, well, how do you know that's true? Because they already feel it that way. How would you know if that wasn't true? So it just kind of reverses it.
Yeah, it's Cartesian logic.
Cartesian logic.
A equals B, A equals not B, not A equals B, not A equals not B.
What would happen if you did? What would happen if you didn't? What wouldn't happen if you did? What wouldn't happen if you didn't?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And that's a form of that.
That's a form of the redefine.
Of Cartesian logic. Yeah.
Cartesian logic.
Gotta watch out for those Cartesians.
Yeah.
Those are fun. Cartesian logic.
They screw you every time.
That's a fun one to use.
Because how would you know if that wasn't true? That's going to make them think outside of their box.
Right.
If they actually go with it. And that's just like them opening up a door for them to go in a couple different directions, which it would make it easier for you.
You're basically telling them to change their mind right off the bat. And again, it gets behind the critical factor, so they're not going to see it, and they're not going to have a defense up against it. Seems like a metaphor.
Hitting them on the back of their head. They don't
Yeah.
see it coming.
Exactly.
What?
So, did you get that? Dave? Max? That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's
You can
what
even
Brad said.
change that. How wouldn't you know if that was true?
Right. I would.
'Cause how wouldn't you know if that was true?
I wouldn't you know if that was true.
Because you gotta go totally internal to comprehend what I just said, and then the brain, the unconscious will start working to bring understanding, but then also to bring logic to what you just said. How wouldn't you know if that was true? What?
Yeah, right. It's a short circuit.
It does. Best one is how wouldn't you know if that wasn't true? But the not.
Yep.
Okay.
Double negative.
Mm-hmm. But that, what? People stop and they're like, Could you repeat that?
I donate, got none.
Yeah. So you do have it. So,
Yeah, so that about
I don't
almost
think
wraps
that-
it up. I'm just gonna hit you with the meta frame on the health spa one. So the meta frame, okay, so my relationship to my income, you know, I can't afford it, it's too expensive. Well, obviously it's too expensive based on your limited mindset. What other precious things in your life have you destroyed besides your health based on this limited mindset?
ouch.
Screw you, man, I'm going home.
That's like the salt in the wound, you know?
Yeah.
Digging the knife in a little
Yeah.
deeper.
And that kind of sums it up. We're cruising really quick here. So let's just open this up and just have a big group discussion. Put our chairs in a little circle, you know, round up the wagons, whatever we want to do. And let's just make sure we all know what's going on.
Let's pick a statement. Let's create a statement, and then
Yes.
we'll go through and we'll create all of these for that statement.
Exactly, that's why we got blank ones. Everybody have a pen?
Do you think?
Got a pen, Jen? Yeah, okay.